welcome back to my channel. My name is Lena, and if you're new here, I talk about sewing. I make sewing videos, I draft pattern, I make beautiful outfit dresses. So stay tuned, watch the end, and also subscribe. For my old subscribers, woo, thank you for the love, the support. Thank you so much. I love you guys. So my last video, I made a shirt dress block pattern to make use of it in my next video. So here we are. I just traced the block pattern and tweaked it to create a dress, but it was almost a disaster. Hey, I almost cried though, like literally I cried a bit, a tiny mini bit, because I anticipated 5.5 yards of fabric, but I only had 4 yards of cotton gray fabric. So all those ruffles that I sketched out, I wanted it to be like flying, floating, you know, I wanted enough. But see, the ruffle on the sleeve is not adequate, it's not flowing, it's not flying anywhere. I don't want to cry here. Even, you know, usually I get the width of the dress or the sleeve, like the width, then I times it, times 2. So it's enough. Sometimes it's times 2 then half, like, so it will be like flying and floating, but no. So I also forgot to insert the pocket. You know what, I don't like pockets on my dresses. I don't want to put my hand, I don't want it to sag anywhere, you know, because I like big clothes. As you can see, I make like big. If I don't make big, I make big or go home, you know, that kind of thing. So I don't like, but it's a tutorial. I just wanted to show you guys how to do that, but I forgot. Kylie, I wanted to do that, but I forgot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a PDF pattern size for A4 size and letter size, US letter size, and I'm going to share that with you guys with enough ruffles. Like, you get enough ruffles. You can even get pockets if you want pockets, you know. So first I started with a rough sketch of the shirt dress design. After sketching, I like to label to include all the measurements needed, depending on the type of design I'm going for. So while drafting, I don't forget some details to include in my pattern. First, I'm going to start by tracing my shirt dress block pattern. So watch the video. Before tracing out my front dress pattern, I marked in ½ inch from the edge of the paper and squared down to the length of my dress. So the length of my dress, the total length of my dress is 56 inches. So but I'll make use of 45 inches, which is 56 inches minus 11 inches for the flare. The flare, I cut out the flare directly on my fabric. The 11 inches for the flare, I cut it out directly from my fabric. I also marked 1 inch at the top of the pattern paper, so it will be easy for me to include my similar ones. I also marked out my dress length, which is 45 inches. I traced with a pencil, and I traced really faint, so when making the necessary moderations and adjustments to the pattern, you get to see the design clearly. I also traced the back pattern. I started making the necessary adjustments on the back pattern. I marked 16 inches from the neck down to create the sleeve. So my sleeve length is 16 inches plus 6 inches for the flare. So do the calculation. Sorry for this, I didn't know my pattern paper was out of coverage. So what I did there was to mark 1.5 inches for my shoulder slant. So I just connected that point down to my neck point. I want my sleeve opening, or my sleeve width to be wide enough, so I chose 16 inches. So it's gonna be 16 inches divided by 2. So I marked out from the shoulder slant down. So I'm so sorry again that this is out of coverage, so sorry, but that's what I did. They just mark that straight down, then connect from the shoulder slant down to the 8 inches. On the armhole depth line, I increased the bust size by 3/4 inch, then extended that point, creating an A-shaped line down to the length of the dress. You can see that I didn't go really big on my A-line, so if you have enough fabric you can go bigger. But what I did was, from the length of my dress, I just went out 4.5 inches, so that's where my A-line stopped. So but I also created a slash and spread just to get that fullness at the center, not just at the side seam. Next, I extended the armhole depth line down to my sleeve length. From the armhole depth line, I went down 2 inches, while the sleeve line I went in 3 inches. Then create like a curve to unite the sleeve and the body together. Almost done with the back pattern. So next I created my slash lines. There's the measurement to the slash lines, I just eyeballed it. Then I added my seam allowance all round. I later drew the slash lines all the way to the shoulder. Please do so. I just stopped so I can add my seam allowance, then draw the slash lines off record. I marked 1/2 inch seam allowance. For the front pattern, I made the same adjustment I made for the back pattern and more. So I extended from the neck, I extended the sleeve to 16 inches, extended the armhole depth by 3/4, then create my A-line. Then you for the A-line, you can just mark from the bottom of the length, from the dress length, you can just mark out 4.5 inches, then create your A-line. Then my so everything I did for the back, I did for the front. Then after that, then I started creating the front design. So just do that, then we'll get to the front design. For the front, the right and left side have 2 different cuts. Left side is longer while the right side is shorter. I'm going to create the adjustment on this pattern paper. There's no need separating them, there's no need drafting on 2 pattern papers. First, I'm going to mark out the longer side, which is the left side, then the shorter one, which is the right side. So the left side is 46 inches minus 11, which is 35. So I'm going to mark out 35, while the right side is 42 inches minus 11 inches for the flare, that is 31 inches. So all these markings I'll do them at the center front, that's the bottom band side, then connect that to the side seam, that's to the length of the dress, to give me the slant look. While cutting out my fabric, I cut out the left side, that's the longer side, before cutting out the shorter one. Next, I drew my slash lines, then added my seam allowance. Next, I traced the collar. I used the collar stand only. I folded my pattern paper, then traced the collar stand and added my seam allowance, and that is all for the collar. I used the medium weight cotton fabric. So if you're going to make so much ruffle, so much flare, you can use a light
cotton fabric. So, and I will advise that you cut out the flares first for the bottom and for the sleeve. This is how I spread my 2.5 inches spread for the front and back. For the front, you cut out the right first before you cut out the left. So here are my pattern pieces except for the pockets. So for the flare, the bottom flare, I cut 11 inches length. Then for the sleeve, I cut 6 inches length. The width is the width of the sleeve times 2. Then the width of the skirt, the dress, the bottom of the dress times 2. It's time to sew my pieces together. So I'm attaching the front and back pieces together, the right side together, then sew at the shoulder, then the side seam. After sewing, I lock with my overlock machine. I like to press my button band before stitching. So first I pressed in the 1/2 inch seam allowance, then the 1 inch button band before stitching. It's time to sew the collar stand. So I attach the collar stand right side together, then pin at the top, then sew. I try to recreate the collar stand curve while sewing. So after sewing, I pressed, then attach to my shirt. Next, I created the ruffle for the bottom of the shirt. So what I did was to lock the 2 edges of the flare, then sew. Then I changed my stitch length to 4 to create a basting stitch at the top of the flare, then drag to create that gathering effect. So if you have a footer, a gathering footer, it's really nice. It will make your work very fast. But I don't want to repeat the process here because I've done so many gathering like this on most of my videos. So check out my videos, watch my videos. So yeah, I couldn't get a whole piece for the flare, so I had to cut like the large one, then cut another small one, so I attached it at the side. So sometimes your fabric won't be enough to get the whole piece at once for the flare, so you can just cut so many pieces then attach to create your flare. So yeah, I pinned the right side together. I just flipped it over the right side together and pin all the way around to from the button band to the button band, then stitch, then lock. After stitching, then lock. Next, I hemmed the bottom of the flare, just double fold and pin and stitch. Next, I created the ruffle or flare for the sleeve. So what I did first was to run a basting stitch at the top of the flare, then sew the side seam together, then drag to form the garden effect, then attach to the sleeve and lock, then hem the bottom just the way I did for the bottom of the flare. It's just everything is same. After attaching the sleeve, I inserted my buttons, created my buttonholes and inserted my buttons. So I have done this so many times too. Yeah, so I'm not going to go into details. But what I would say is that I attached the button, one button for the collar stand, then another button immediately after the collar stand on the collar band. Then I left after one button buttonhole, I left 2.5 inches, then created another buttonhole, 2.5 inches, then created another buttonhole. So that is it. Also, I am working on an embroidery. I want to just a little bit play with the shirt just to make it look a bit expensive. It's elegant, I just want to make it look expensive. So I'm working on an embroidery. I might use thread and beads. So whatever I come up with, I'm still playing with it. Whatever I come up with, I'm gonna post on the new look on my Facebook group and also on my Instagram, so please follow me there. So this is it for this tutorial. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Don't forget to subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share. Alright, so bye bye.